Ja również. Teraz zapraszam pana Michała Matusiaka. Zajmie to chwilę techniczną z komputerem. Będzie to wykład w języku angielskim. Po polsku natomiast tytuł brzmi Tajemny kod Tolkiena. Analiza literacka. Zapraszam.
Dzień dobry. Chciałbym przede wszystkim po polsku może na początku podziękować za zaproszenie tutaj organizatorom. Bardzo mi miło, że tutaj jestem, mogę siedzieć, mogę się podzielić swoimi przemyśleniami z paru ładnych lat badań. I chciałbym też powiedzieć, że będę mówił po angielsku i będę mówił prawdopodobnie szybko, jeśli już się rozkręcę. Jest troszeczkę pomocy, przygotowałem na prezentacji dla Państwa. Gdyby ktoś miał jakiś problem albo czegoś nie rozumiał, to prosiłbym jakoś rękę podnieść, ja wtedy przetłumaczę, prawda? Bo wydawało mi się, tak przynajmniej zrozumiałem, że każdy tutaj z obecnych, te grono, które tutaj jest, będzie rozumiało język angielski. To podstawa. But secondly, in English, I would like to express my gratitude for inviting me here to the organizers, right? Father Anicet, right? And I would like to express my pleasure of being here and of presenting the results of my research from the time of my BA thesis and MA thesis as well. I would like to start maybe with just an introductory thing. I would like to focus on something different than trying to discover how much Tolkien did in fact know about theology or philosophy. I would like to approach the topic from the more practical perspective, and that would be I would like to assess his vision, his perception, because as far as for me, sanctity, right, sainthood. I don't know how can we express it, how can we tell if someone is a saint. In my opinion, the easiest way is by assessing the practical effects, the fruits that someone's activity, artistry, for example, professional work bears forth, right? In the case of Tolkien, I would say that the phrase coined by Professor Tom Shippey would be perfect here, the unconscious creativity. And I believe that Tolkien, through his unconscious creativity, presented us with a vision based on his perception. The way that his perception operates is based, of course, on his inspirations, past inspirations, and the way he uses his symbolic language. It's not always intentional, and the less it is, the better for us, I would say even. Because it's more sincere, it's more integral then. If it's less intentional, it flows from his blood. And his blood is as it is, as he has written in his letters. And he couldn't write Lord of the Rings in any different way. So I would approach it from this perspective, right? As far as for me, more practical than just discussing whether Tolkien knew anything or not in the field of theology. But if we were discussing it from that perspective, we would only need to mention the conversation between Tolkien and Henri de Lubac in the 1960s. Henri de Lubac was a renowned theologian that co-founded with Cardinal Ratzinger and Hans Urs von Balthasar the renowned Communio magazine, right? And Henri de Lubac afterwards told that Tolkien had a very deep knowledge of theology and understanding how the miracle of incarnation boosted the myth-making faculty, not the other way around. So that would be enough. But I would like to deal with this topic in a different way. I would like to focus on one poem, a poetical intrusion to the Lord of the Rings. That would be, as I've presented a moment ago, Elbereth Gilthoniel, the poem, right? This is said to be the most overt allusion to Tolkien's religious views. But, in fact, it has never been assessed thoroughly in a comprehensive way, and with a thesis that this poetical intrusion brings meaning into the whole work. That would be something, an overarching thesis. And it's, I will try to present you that it is possible to say that Tolkien did operate, intentionally or not, with his symbolic language, that is thoroughly, through and through, Catholic, from the beginning till the end. This is not a fundamental statement after researching Elbereth Gilthoniel. So maybe let's go on with our presentation, right? The first time the reader meets with Elbereth Gilthoniel, he meets with the Snow White version of it, English version produced by Frodo, and that's in the first book of The Lord of the Rings. In majority, you can find it between the pages 80 to 115, 120. It depends on the editions. Snow White is very, very florid and not precise translation of Frodo's of the elves' hymn or song. Let's call it now preliminary as song. Maybe let's not go that far. Maybe I can play you this song. How it sounds, right? Do we have any sound? Sorry. Okay.
Snow White we seem to be
okay.
in a far land beyond. Snow White, O Lady clear, O Queen beyond the western seas, O light to us that wander here amid the world of woven trees. Gilthoniel, O Elbereth, clear are thy eyes and bright thy breath. Snow White we seem to thee in a far land beyond the sea. O stars that in the sunless year with shining hand by her were sown, in windy fields now bright and clear we see your silver blossom blown. O Elbereth, Gilthoniel, we still remember, we who dwell in this far land beneath the trees, thy starlight on the western sea.
All right, that will be Tolkien's take on reading, on intoning, right? That we could say he wasn't reading. In fact, it was a bit of a very slow motion intonation, very solemn one. In fact, there are only few other that read in a similar way by Tolkien. And these would be, of course, Elbereth Gilthoniel, Namari, and we would have, of course, the One Ring verse, right, which is very seriously presented by Tolkien. I'll show a translation of Snow White, Śnieżyczka, Śnieżyczko by Maria Skibniewska just in a minute, but I would like to present you with the original, so-called original. Tolkien presents it as original Sindarin version, right, with the Quenya vocabulary in it. The Quenya vocabulary are the names. Elbereth Gilthoniel, we have a lot of it in here, and we have different versions. We've got only one full 7-verse strophe at the first chapter, presented at the first chapter. Then later on in the text in The Lord of the Rings, we've got as well some reprises. Some of them are in Sindarin, in Elvish, right? And some of them are something in between with English and and Elvish as well, right? So maybe let's hear this version as well.
Arel berethlu thoniel, sidivren penamiriel o menel aglar elenaf, nachaired palandiriel o galas remmin enorath, fanuilos lelinathon nevaya si.
Okay, for people who don't know Elvish as me, this was very illuminating, right? Yes, so maybe for the people that are present here, I would like to give you a first translation, right? This would be the direct translation done by Tolkien himself. Albert Starkindler, white glittering slants down, sparkling like jewels from the firmament, the glory of the star host. To remote distance far having gazed, from three tangled of middle lands, Fanuilos, to thee I will chant, on this side of ocean, here on this side of the great ocean. This is the English translation given by Tolkien and given as well by some scholars like, by some scholars, English-speaking scholars, of course, right? That will be the direct translation, literal meaning of some of the words. You can see this is not a very poetical, right, translation into English. We focus here on the meaning of the words precisely, on the Elvish words. These words aren't that easy to translate. And here is something for you, right? This is Śnieżyczko. I believe this is a translation made by Maria Skibniewska, the most renowned translator of The Lord of the Rings in Poland and most esteemed, I would say, right? Maria Skibniewska. You can read it, right? And you can notice how florid, that means how at difference this translation is, of course. This is poetry. In poetry, it's very difficult to translate directly and loyally, faithfully, I mean, right? To translate faithfully. That's the problem with poetry. But I would like to go on. All of these contain in some more or less, of course, the more we stick to the original Snow White or Albrecht Giltoniel, the more we can tell about the symbolic language, right? The symbolic language comprises of the imagery used by Tolkien, not only here, but this is a case in point. So we will notice the last forest, right? Imagery, right? Then we will find ocean, star, or a sea, right? Then we would have the images of a star or a light, right? And not only we will find, of course, heaven as a firmament, right? And we would find much more, but this is only to show that they all have something in common, right? So maybe I can tell a bit about the text itself, right? The structure is very simple. The original Albrecht Giltoniel is made with the one strophe that we know, and that Tolkien said that it was only the first one of several more. We know it has 7 verses, right? And the rhyme pattern is Giltoniel, Miriel, Elena, Diriel, Enora, Lina, Thon, Aaron. A, B, A, B, C, C, right? I would like you to remember this rhyme pattern, because why not? On the left, you've got presented Sam's version when he was in danger and he wanted to use this sting, right? At least in the movies, he uttered such words: "Albrecht Giltoniel, omenel palandiriel, lenalon si din guruthos, atironin fanoilos." Right? This is a different version, and I will tell in a moment. And you've got underline. You've got the words that you will need to take interest to. The first word is A, the first letter A. Right? This is a vocative particle like "or," right? When we start an invocation, this would be something that appears almost every time. Then we have the proper names as Albrecht Giltoniel, and these would stand for, we have in fact many names. We have Elbereth, we have Gilthoniel, the Star Kindler, and the Star Kindler as translated beneath. But Elbereth in general would mean Star Lady, Pani Gwiaździsta, Pani Gwiazd, right, in Polish. We have different pronouns. We have different pronouns that we can find and by which we can define Elbereth, like Phanuilos, right? Phanuilos was bright angelic figure, ever white as snow. Anielsko, jasna, wiecznie czysta figura. In the sense character, right? Something like that. That would be the one of examples, right? Then we would also find in Tolkien's work some things like Aire Tari, right? Holy Queen coined by Tolkien himself, and that would reflect in some manner the 1951st declaration by Pope Pius XII that Mary is heavenly queen, right? And it was during Tolkien's lifetime that it happened. There are many various biographical details that I would like to present to you, but I just don't have that time, right? So I'm only mentioning some of the more interesting ones. The next thing that I would like to mention is Meneth and Elenath, right? Meneth and Elenath are, Menel is the firmament, right? Is the firmament that is translated beneath, and then we have the star host. Elbereth is the star lady, star queen, and thus she can be called the queen of star host. It has a different level. It can be understood on many levels, as for example, Elbereth can be understood as the queen of Valas, right? Valas, angelic beings, as Tolkien defined them. That will bring her, right, the fictional character to be a very close representation of Virgin Mary, right, as a queen of angels, right? But these are only the clues. You know, you can really do thorough research into it, and I have done it with pleasure, of course. And I found a lot of connotations, a lot of similarities. Elbereth, Gilthoniel, Warda, the lofty, sublime, exalted, wywyższona, right? You can find so many of them. It's hard to find any other inspiration for Elbereth Gilthoniel. So next one would be, of course, Palandiriel. Palandiriel is a past participial form of having gazed away. To gaze away, right? It means wpatrywać się w dal, right? And having gazed away is in the past sense, right? And in this sense, it introduces the mythical perspective from the plural subjects perspective. Elves here in Elbereth Gilthoniel, the plural subject that addresses the Elbereth Gilthoniel, right? Their beloved, their beloved aid, right? Here present that the last time they've been seeing Elbereth Gilthoniel is in the past, right? And this is only a memory of a beautiful figure from the past, mythical figure, just like something for us Mary could be, right? She belongs to our past. For the people who believe, right? She belongs to the past, right? And she is in some fact mythical as being taken alive, right? To heaven. She is the queen of angels, and there is this similarity, I would claim, again, we can see between Elbereth and Virgin Mary. Then we have something a different term, Phanuilos. Phanuilos, as I've mentioned, meant the bright angelic figure, ever white as snow, przeczysta. Yeah, we could, for example, translate it as that, right? purist, right? We could put it as that, I believe. This is, of course, some kind of a denoting adjective here, right? Maybe not an adjective, it's a proper name because they use it so oftenly, right? Then we have the le, to thee, do ciebie, right? Pronoun. That is translated here in the more classical way, to thee I will chant. Here, the text shows that in both versions, in the Elvish one and in the English one, and I believe that the Polish one has it as well, that it is a pure invocation to someone. We've got the plural subject, that is the elves, and then we've got the addressee, who is Elbereth Gilthoniel, right? But what's interesting is the geospatial perspective from which the plural subject speaks, and that will be below the crown of the forest. That will mean di nunguruthos. The best way it was put, it was by Sam, who uttered these words. That would be, the understanding of it would be a tree-tangled world, somewhere beneath the crown of the forest, beneath the skies, the starry, beautiful skies. Remember that elves love the stars, right? And one more thing, geospatial, when it comes to the geospatial location, that would be the elves were looking to the west, not to the east. We Christians have a in our tradition, we are waiting for the morning star that will ascend in the east. However, the elves are waiting to and are gazing towards the west. This is some kind of a problem that we will deal later on if we've got the time, of course, right? Okay, so how much do we have? That's it. Okay, good. So, all right, so we don't have that much time. All right, so I would like to say several more things if I can, right? We have the motives here, the themes here of an ocean, of a forest, of a star, brought almost from George MacDonald's works, right? Tolkien uses them, and I don't have that much time to elaborate on that, but I can say that I've tried to apply this key, right? This symbolic imagery before I understood, well, before I believed that I might have gotten straight to the point. And I've tried to analyze Smith of Cottonwoods with the use of this symbolic language key, right? And I've done it before reading any scholarship on the topic, right? Scholars' works on the topic, and I must say it has meaning. It gives additional meaning to the text. And later on, I've discovered that this key, this symbolic language that one might discover through Elbereth Gilthoniel, one can in fact attribute to Smith of Cottonwood, Kowal z Przylesia Większego, and Tolkien himself explained that in a note found some years later, precisely the things that I've discovered through Elbereth Gilthoniel. So if Professor Trout is saying that the poetical intrusion is in fact skipped, that's true, and it shouldn't be that much neglected because it is the key, it is the overarching link to the whole Tolkien's corpus. Thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't manage to do it, right?
Serdecznie dziękujemy za wystąpienie. Wiadomo, że to jest zbyt szeroki temat na 20 minut. Mam nadzieję, że pewne rzeczy jeszcze wyjdą w dyskusji. No i oczywiście oczekujemy na publikację.